Join me today as we take regular looking flashcards and turn them into some things for our junk journals. And if you do not have any flashcards, I will show you how to make one from scratch. I'm Gigi from Hickory Art Co. Let's get started. And today we are working on the hashtag ABC April 2025, and we are on letter F, Monday, April 7th. You can find any of this information if you follow at 7 Plaza or Crafty by Tony, and I will put the links in the description. And then I also have a copy of this on my Ko-fi shop that you can download for free. It also comes with some prompt suggestions. I'm going to be using some of the cards that I had gotten at a thrift store. It was a very large pack. You do not have to have these, but I will show you techniques that you can do with other flashcards. I will also be showing you an idea that you can do with this card, but again, it can be applied to any flashcard that you may have. And then I'm also going to show you how to make your own flashcards at the end. So we're going to get started here with one of the larger ones. And this one is going to be a journaling card, or it can also be a tag. And for a tag, I would cut it short and then cut the corners off and punch the hole. I'm not going to make one because it would be done pretty much the same way as this, although I would probably want it maybe a little shorter. But again, you use the flashcards that you have, but it would be done the same way, only you would be snipping corners and punching a hole. So I will show you how I got this effect. And again, this is just going to be quick techniques that you can take and use on the flashcards that you have. All right, first, for this one, I just took, let's turn this way. I took my coffee spray. I always have this on the side of my desk. It's just instant coffee that I mixed up with warm water, and then I use it fairly regularly. So I probably replace it maybe every 7 to 10 days, something like that, just so it doesn't start getting gross. But I just spritz, got the bottle at the dollar store. Spritz, and I try to purposely make some puddles. And I'm going to just let that set for a minute, and then I'm going to dry it, and then I will come back and show you what I have. If your piece begins to want to curl while you're doing this, then you can flip it over to the other side and just kind of bend it back in the opposite direction with the heat, and it'll help it lay flat. Okay, so you can see that got really nice and coffee dyed there. I did it twice, just spritzed it and then let it set for a couple of seconds and then dried it and then did it again. I'm just using a dry brush that I had picked up at the Dollar Tree in like the health and beauty department. Okay, and doing it like this can fray your ink pads, so use an old one or one that you don't really care about. It's not affecting the ink itself if you want to stamp, but I just got the idea of what if we put some ink down that way, and you can use water. I just have coffee on hand here, and let's load it up that way, and that works as well. I just wanted to tone it down a little bit more and set that the green back a little bit, because it's kind of a lime green, so that grunged that up even more, and you can still see the coffee underneath there. Just an idea. You don't have to do that step if you don't want, or you could do it also with your dauber. And since this is going to be a journaling card, I want the back to be able to be written on. So we're going to cover the back with, I have some coffee dye paper. You could use any plain paper and grunge it up like we did the front, or you can use any kind of paper from a paper pad or anything that you have. So I like it to be a little smaller than the actual card. That's your preference. If you want, you can just glue it down and cut around it. But I don't measure. You are more than welcome to measure, but I want it a little smaller. So I'm just going to put a couple marks there And if I can find my ruler. Oh, I put it in my drawer. I actually put it away and then I can't find things. Okay. So I'm just going to rough tear, making it smaller than the actual card. And then I tore off my do that. And then I like to, and this is, again, if you don't like this real grungy stuff, you don't have to do this part, but I like to just scrape it and get the edges just kind of frayed. This is just a sanding stick. You can use sandpaper. You could just use an emery board like you do your nails with. Okay, let's get this out of here. And I'm going to get that on the back of here. First, I'm going to round the corners. You can leave them as is, or you could just snip them off. You can always put something around at the edge and trace around it, and then just use your scissors and do it. If you have one thing you want to invest in, this, and it's not even investing, it was like $5.99 on Amazon. I use this a lot, so that's one thing. If you only have a little bit that you want to put into your junk journaling budget, that's something inexpensive that does not go to waste. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, using my walnut stain, I'm just going to go around the edges because I don't want that pale, these are almost like a file folder material. I don't want that pale color showing. So we'll grunge up the edge a little bit there. Oops. And I'm gonna put that there, but again, I want to go around this. All right, I got inked around that, and now I'm going to apply glue on the back of this, and I use a glue stick for that. You can use a wet glue, but if you do, you need to smooth it out with a brush or your finger first, or you will see everywhere that you put it, it'll leave bumpy marks. So I do prefer the glue stick for this. And we need a scraper. Actually, I'm going to scoot that down a little bit further. I'm going to round the corners on the big card. And then ink the whole way around this on both sides. Okay, so we got that all grunged up. We got the corners rounded and inked. Got this part on the back. Got that rounded and inked also. So now the next thing that I did was I have these stamps that look like script, old script that you can't read. So I use that. You can use anything you have that looks like a background stamp or stencil. You could stencil something on there as well. And I'm going to get this inked up with the walnut stain. All right, so I have that walnut stain on this. And I just want it to kind of be in the background. And I'm going to even go off of the flashcard with it. I'm going to re-ink. Whoops. Okay, and that's just adding a real faint background. I like to kind of build up. So we have the grungy vintage coffee stained distressed look in the background, and now we're just coming up a layer with the stamp. And I'm just going to go along the edge here where I didn't get anything. Sorry if that's shaking. Wasn't enough on there. I think this ink pad has about had it too. All right, and then I'm just going to put a little bit down at the bottom here. And I did notice down here it's stamped 1980 Pensacola Christian College. So that's where these originated from. Okay. So that is what that looks like. And I think we're going to have to add some water to that and see if I can revive that one a little bit. And I'm just going to show you one more step on this one. What I had done next was get a piece of book page, and I just tore it, and I'm going to ink around it and glue it on there. And what I do is I just kind of, again, eyeball it. And I get that glued on. Flip it on the back. And just cut off the excess. And then I want to ink around this part now, since that is inked, to continue that around the edge. Okay, and then the other thing I did, also I'm using Tombow Mono glue stick. I don't think I had said that at the beginning. Then I used I have a little splatter stamp that came in a bundle from Goodwill or somewhere. And I just used that to just add a little something back here. And you can, if you have any type of a splatter stamp, can use that. You can use bubble wrap. You can put, you can take something, something that's round, like the edge of a, I don't have anything down here, like the end of a glass, or even a paper cup. And if you put the ink out like we had done before, and just make it a tiny bit wet and dip the rim of the glass in that, and then dip it around, you can get some really cool coffee rings. I would practice first on some scrap paper and see if you like the look that you're getting. But for now, we're going to call this one done. On this one, I also used the stamp on the front, but you can see this one got a lot lighter than this one did. I just grunged it more. That's all. I used more coffee, and I used that dry brush over it. I'm not going to continue. All I did was then added a sticker and a little cluster, but you can see the difference in how they started as far as the coloring, how we made it go from something that looked plain and new, which they're not, they're from 1980, but still we really were able to grunge them up. And again, they make a nice journaling card to go in a pocket, or you can cut the corners off and punch a hole and use them as a tag, and they could also be cut down, but again, you'll be using what you have in your stash. Okay, so this one I did cut down, and this one is called a tip-in. So I folded a little flat part over, and then when you were working in your journal, you would just put glue right along here, and glue that part down. And then once that's there and set, then this would lay on top. So then anything, you could put something like a little space to journal under here, or just like a little flower or something that would be a surprise when it is lifted up. So that's just called a tip-in. You can also do them this direction, but with the numbers already on here, I wouldn't do that. Although these can be completely covered. You don't have to let whatever's on the flashcard show. So it can be glued like that, or you can glue it over the page itself, and it can tip in that way. So either way is acceptable, that way, or hang it over the page and glue it that direction. All right, I cut it down, and now I want to fold. I'm going to have this be my front, so I need to fold a little bit of a flap. And you can make it as big or as small of a flap as you want. I'm going by what's on my front of my card because I don't want that 7 to be chopped off. So I am going to just make sure my edges are lined up here. If you have a score tool, you can also score it. This is a Westcott titanium bonded. I've had this from back when I was teaching kindergarten, so I don't know if they still make them or not. That makes it easier to fold. If you do not have one of those, you can also lay your, I lost my ruler again. Lay your ruler along there, and you can take like a ballpoint pen and or your scoring tool. This just came from the Dollar Tree. It still has a sticker part on it, and just crease it like that, and that will work also. Okay, so we have this part, the flappy part folded. Then what I did, and it's actually going to be like we just did with when we did the dry brush, put a little of that down. Again, I always use the coffee because it helps with the aged look instead of water, just coffee water. And it doesn't matter if it slops on the back because we're covering the back. And this again is just, it's toning it down, and this is, sorry, mowed lawn. Okay, so we got that just grunged up a little bit. If we hold it next to what it did look like, you can see the difference in the coloring. So it just kind of set those numbers back a little bit. Then the next thing I'm going to do is glue this onto a book page. And to do that, I'm just going to completely, let's get my scrappy paper in here again. I'm just going to completely cover the back with the glue stick. And I even do that little flat part. You wouldn't have to, depending on how you're going to glue it. If you're going to fling this over the edge of a page, you're not going to see it. If you're going to glue it inside to the page, then you do see it. And I do just kind of, this is an old dictionary page, but I do kind of just glance at it and make sure there's nothing on any of the pages that I use that I wouldn't want in my junk journal. And I use the scraper. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and go around that. The next thing that I did was I have these background stamps that came from Michael's. If you just search background stamps, you will find all kinds of things. And don't forget to check eBay too. Sometimes you can find people that are getting rid of their stash of stamps. Okay, for this one I used a vintage photo for the background. I think this time I'm going to try this old paper. I laid that out just to see what that might look like. So I'm going to get this stamp loaded up and I'll be right back with you. Okay, we'll see what that looks like. Oh, that looks nice too. All right, I'm gonna do the bottom half, and then I also turn it over and do the flip side. What I did, and this is actually the second time I did this, when you have this glued in and you flip it up, this is upside down. So you want to watch that. So all I'm going to do is just cover it with one. So if you're using something that's directional, that has text, or that may have flowers or something that are going in a certain direction, then you need to keep that in mind. Don't just flip it this way and glue that on. You need to flip it this way and glue it on. So I'm going to redo that, and then I will finish the stamping, and then I will show you at the end. Okay, fix that. And then this is how it looks with the stamping. It is much lighter than what I used back here. But they do both flip up now. I would finish these if it wouldn't make the video so long, but I would definitely embellish. You could put something up here in the corner. You can put stuff over the top. And this one, I took that dry brush and went over that when I had made this prior to the video. This one I didn't do that too. I think it kind of looks nice just like that. It's not quite as grungy as the other one, but I do like how that one turned out also. So that is another idea of using your flashcards as tip-ins. And again, it can be done with these little ones as well. It's just not going to be as big, obviously. All right, so that was another one. This one, let's do this one. I'm just going to do something simple on. We're just going to, I'm not going to take time to embellish it, but I want to show you how you can make this really new card look older. This is I believe from the Dollar Tree. Either there's a little section that has school supplies, or sometimes they're over where the coloring books are. If you do get that kind, you will notice one side is glossy and one side is not. It's easier to glue and do your work on the side that is not glossy. If you were going to work over here, then I would take one of the sanding sticks or sandpaper and scuff that up a little bit. Or you can always apply gesso over the top. Or if you put some tissue paper, decoupage using Mod Podge, some tissue paper over the top, that gets it a little more tooth that you can work on both sides. But for this, I'm going to show you how to just make this look grungier, and then show you how you can use this in a journal. So I'm going to just scrunch it and fold it and unfold it, scrunch it up, and see if I can get it to, there we go. Scrunch like that. I can even scrunch over some of the lines we already have. I'm using, I guess there's probably a vintage photo on here. Honestly, I'm not fussy. I like both the vintage and the walnut stain, and I very rarely change out my dauber if I'm going between the two of them. Now, if I would pick up one of the greens or something, then I would definitely switch over to another sponge applicator. But for this, I don't mind. That even tore there. That's another thing you can do. Let's ink that tear. And let's tear it over here also. Okay, so then I'm going to go the whole way around the edge, and I won't put you through that. Okay, so we have it like this. And then from here, you can either do the spritzing again and let that dry, or you can go back and get the dry brush or the dauber and go over that. So I'm going to dry this quick. All right, so I got that coffee dyed, so that added some more just kind of splatters on it. And then I have these two tears. So from the back, because we're going to make this into a pocket, which I will show you in a minute, I don't want things getting caught on those tears. So I'm going to, from the back, just use plain old Scotch tape and fix it. You could use whatever tape you have on hand. I wouldn't waste washi tape back here because nobody's going to see it. But then on the front, because it still looks torn, I have this, it's hem adhesive. It's iron-on, but obviously I'm not going to do that. So it looks like this. When you get it, it's smooth on one side and bumpy on the other. And I just tore a piece off and I used the dauber and the inks and made it look grungy, of course. And then I'm just going to, I did it on the bumpy side. So then on the smooth side, I'm going to apply a glue stick, and then just put some little tape on there. And do the same thing on the other side. Let's have this one going this way, and I don't care that it goes over the number. So we have that. And then even though we don't need it, I like things in threes. So we're gonna tear, and let's put another little piece. It actually tears nicely too. And let's put a piece up here on that. All right, so we got that really grunged up. It did look like, that's a little dirty, but that's how it looked to start. And now we have it looking like this. So it could just be used like this, or you could keep going and embellish it more. If I was going to use it, if this was my journal page, you could use it in a couple of different ways. You can glue down 1, 2, 3 sides and use it as a pocket, or you could glue this, this, and this and use it as a side pocket, or you can just glue down 1, 2 and use it as a tuck spot. So that is another way that you can use whatever flashcard you happen to have. This is just another technique that you could use. All right, let's move on to another one. All right, I have 2 more to show you. This one makes a pocket also. You can do this with smaller ones too. You would just have a smaller pocket at the bottom. You wouldn't want to turn it up maybe quite as far. So for this one, all I did was didn't measure, just folded it up, tried to get it pretty straight. If you push your finger down in the middle and then go out from each edge, it usually helps to get things more straight rather than folding it and starting at one corner and going across. Just a little tip to try out. Okay, and for this one, I am going to use the sewing pattern paper that, if you've watched many of my videos, you know this is always on my desk. It's as Miss Paint-A-Lot says, it's a desk dweller, and that's what that is. I'm gonna fold this up this way. If when you fold this up, your flashcard has something there, like this one did, then I would just cover it with maybe a piece of coffee dye paper if you didn't want that showing through. Makes no difference. However you do it the way that you want to do it. I am going to glue this down. I love the graphics that come with these sewing pattern packets. So we're going to take advantage of those. And let's see. Let's put it this way. And you can either smooth it out nice and flat, or you can let it have some wrinkles. I'll do that for the next one. That one we're just gonna put flat, and then I'm just gonna tear along here. You can also cut, and then since this is getting glued down and nobody's gonna see the back, I'm just gonna tack it a little bit here and just turn the edges over. You can miter the corners and stuff too if you want, but for this, it's getting glued down. I don't mind. This stuff's really thin. Okay, so we have this look. Oop, I must need to trim a little bit more there. Okay, so we have that look. And I want to cover this part yet. And for that, I have some scrappy bits here I'm going to use. And sometimes for these, I even just put them, you can see it is supposed to be this way. I turn them upside down. So the writing is upside down and backwards. You can put it however way that you want, whatever works for you. But I just kind of like to do it that way so you can tell there's writing there, but you're not really sure what it says, type of thing. And let's put another scrap down. And this is going to be used as a pocket. So you do want to make sure that your pieces are down nice and tight so things aren't getting caught as they go in and out. That's a double, flop that up that way. And we need a little something up here in the corner. And I can see I missed a little spot there. You could either ink there or just stick another piece down. It's going to get cut off. Okay, so just make sure you bring your paper down far enough that when this is glued, if you're cutting a notch like I have here, that you're not going to see plain card right back there. So now I'm just going to trim, or I'll show you the trimmed look. You can trim along here, or you can do like I did on this side and fold it over, whichever you prefer. Okay, so now just make sure that everything is glued down nice and tight so nothing gets caught on it going in and out of the pocket. And I actually see that I missed some down here. I think I'm just going to get that with the ink dauber. And next thing is to punch a notch if you want one. I use this and I eyeball it. I like to use this line that goes across here just to kind of judge, and then I'm just eyeballing from side to side. If you want to measure and put a dot there, you can. If you don't have a notch cutter, you can lay a nickel or something there and just trace around it and then cut it by hand. All right, so that I have that. Then I'm going to round the two corners that are up here. And then I'm going to ink around everything. All right, and just make sure you ink before you glue, because it'll be hard to get in along that edge. So then to glue this down, you're just putting glue on these two edges right here. And I'm using, oh my gosh, that was not right at all. I am using the 3-in-1 glue by Beacon. It's the same people that make the Fabri-Tac, only I have mine in a Sugar Bell frosting bottle just to make it a little easier to squeeze. All right, so now this would get glued down on your journaling page and make a really cute pocket. Oop, I see I missed a piece. I have to glue that back down tighter. And then this would be make a nice pocket, but of course you don't want to play with it until your glue is good and dry. Okay, so that's just another technique. Again, it can be done with any flashcard that you have. And this last one, I'll just quickly show you how you can make one yourself. Of course, it can go this way or this way. I'm holding it this way. This one I measured I cut out at 3 and this one I cut out at 3 by 4.5. Then I tore a picture out of a children's book that I had gotten at a library book sale that was falling apart. The binding was coming off, and it wasn't one that I would leave for my grandbabies. So I tore this out, and I'm going to get this glued on here, and then I will show you what we are going to do with that. Okay, so this I had torn with a rough tear with the ruler, so I want the other edge to look the same. So I'm just going to put my card here. Again, you can do whatever with yours. Actually, it looks like I had already done that. And put some pencil marks where I want a rough tear. So then I'm going to use my ruler, and then I'm just going to tear here. And if you've not done this before, you lay your ruler down, and you want the smaller piece that's going to be left behind under the ruler, so you can grab a hold with the larger end. And then other mark. And same thing, the small piece is under. And you always make sure you're putting a good bit of pressure here at the top. So when you first get started, it is okay. And then it goes pretty well. Sorry, I'm left with a little bunny foot. I'm sorry. Okay, so I am going to get that glued on and I will be right back. I am going to use this stamp that has all kind of different script and lettering and stuff on it. And did I say stamp? I meant stencil. And I am using old paper. At first I was going to use the walnut stain or vintage photo, but thought that might be a little dark on top of the daffodil. So I'm going to go with the old paper. And let's just do a little bit and take a peek. Oh, that'll be good. Okay, and then I'm just going to move it over so I don't really want the postal stamp there, so just scoot it over a little bit. And because it doesn't really say anything in particular, you don't have to be fussy with where you lay it down. Okay. Let's stop with that. So we have this, which I think that looks nice. And then I have this set of alphabet stamps, so I just pulled off the letter F. So we are going to, let's use this one so I can line it up. I'm going to use the black because it's very dark down in here. And then we have the black where it says to pick flowers, which that kind of went into the background now, but it's all right. And I'm just going to put the letter F here for flower. All right, so we have that. And then I had laid out this little fairy stamp. I think we're going to use that, but it's, I don't like this white border. I'm going to take a little bit of the white border off. And then, of course, I'll ink around it and get rid of the rest. But I just thought the yellow and the greens went nice with that. I'm going to ink around it just to get rid of that light edge. And I'm going to put it down here in the corner, but then I think I'm going to wrap some of it around or cut it off. Don't need the whole sticker on there. I don't want to lose her though either. No, I'm going to go like this. We're going like that. And I'm going to cut this off, or could just fold it around. Okay, and then I had this cluster laid out, but now I don't think I like that. Let me find a little number to put down in there. I glued a little number on, and then I rounded the top two corners and inked around it. And then this could be put in a journal like this, glued down. And again, it could be a tuck spot or a pocket, or it could just be glued down flat. Or you could punch a hole and make it into a tag or a journaling card, and then cover, of course, cover the back. So that one is an idea of how to make one yourself. And I don't know if I had said from the beginning, this is just a file folder. You can use any type of cardstock that you have. All right, so let's just look at these. This was the one that was a pre-made one from the dollar store. Then these were the ones that I had found. But like I said, you can take any of these ideas and apply it to anything that you happen to have on hand. So this one we did the sewing pattern paper. This is the tip-in where we just folded the top down, and then again, you could keep going and embellish those. And then this is the journaling cards, or they could be made a little bit smaller with the edges nipped off and made into a tag. And again, it started out looking that way, so we grunged them up pretty good there. And that gives you several different techniques to use with whatever supplies that you may have on hand. And I appreciate you spending part of your day with me today. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment and let me know which one is your favorite. And I will see you for my next video for the hashtag ABC April 2025.